Yo, what up, guys? Welcome back
And
to the
we're
Max Pat
live.
Dating and Max Pat Dating official. First stream on our new channel. And today we're joined with our homie Richie from New York. What's up, man? Thanks for coming
What's
on
up?
today.
What's going on, fellas? How's everything?
Howdy.
Good, man. Good. And we got, obviously you can see the title. We got a really good one today. It's going to be about breakups and the importance of them, why they're blessings in disguises, and just kind of the whole gambit. So the inspiration for this was actually from our friend Richie here. So you just had an engagement breakup, man. So why don't we just dive in, and can you tell everyone about what happened and your experience with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much as I was like in the dating world, I dated around, I coached some guys, and I have a very good resume with being with women. And then coming to about a year ago, I found one that I felt it was time to like settle down a little bit. Wind up settling down, maybe moving a little too fast, and then got engaged. Thought it was the right thing. Things were telling me it wasn't, but I went against my intuition a little bit. And then all of a sudden, I was realizing is not where I wanted to be, more and more, and then more red flags that I maybe overlooked kept on arising. And the more I wanted, to be away from it and then get back into the game, in my opinion, or find something deeper. But what happened was I couldn't take it anymore. There was a lot of things that arise that I couldn't face anymore. So then I decided to go our separate ways, and it's been a really amazing journey so far. The past couple of months of it, it's life changing, I would say.
I'd be curious to take a step
Yep.
back and give us a bit of the genesis story. So you mentioned we know you behind the scenes. You're a seasoned veteran in the game.
Yep.
And what led you to that decision to where you wanted to start settling down? You mentioned you felt kind of maybe you rushed things a bit. And the reason I asked is because sometimes I'm in that situation. Like, it'd be really nice to have my one and only. But then we talked behind the show, an opportunity came up for tonight. And Joel, behind the scenes, another opportunity came up the other night. It's like, okay, now I'm going to go to bed at a good time, and I'm going to be a responsible adult. But the chick was just so hot. It's like it's hard to say no. So how do you balance those between, okay, I want to settle down and get out of the game versus the game's always kind of calling you?
Right. Well, I always feel like the game is there, and it's about connecting with women and finding just different levels of it. Sometimes I got carried away more than others than I wanted to, but I was craving more of a deeper connection with someone other than just, cold approaching, getting numbers, having casual sex.
Rinse, wash, repeat.
Exactly. Parties, leading into nights out, drinking. And it went down that path again, which I fell back into after the breakup, which I thought I was missing, but I wasn't really missing that. I was missing finding myself. And that was the number one thing of the breakup is like the comeback from it. It's where you want to be. You don't want to get set back into your old ways. You kind of want to level up now. So my approach with women is a little bit different. Same principles, just different outlooks on it.
So making
So
that
would you say,
transition.
Andre,
go ahead.
would you say that you maybe use the relationship to avoid yourself in a way, maybe unconsciously, but do you think there was a part of that? Because you said you found yourself after, like you had that realization.
Yes, in a sense, when I was in the beginning, it was kind of like someone that was new in kind of like the rotation ish, and then like I kind of weeded out the people that I weren't connected with, and we had a good connection at first, but I overlooked a lot of things at that point in my life too. Like me and Joel talked a little bit off camera, still drinking, partying, so clouded judgment, and I finally found one that was kind of a little bit on my level, but I didn't vet properly. That was the number one thing. Once I set some boundaries, she abided by them in the beginning, and everything was fine. And then as the engagement progressed, and she actually got the ring, those boundaries went out the window, and she wanted to take more and more and more. And I'm a man of principle. I set a boundary, and I want it to be respected. That's it. I feel like it should be on both ways. It's not just me telling you what to do. It should be a mutual understanding, and it wasn't.
Can
So
you
it
give us
sounds-
a little details on that, Richie? Like, what were those boundaries? What?
Well, yeah, boundaries is like I'm a very social person. I'm on like a board of directors of in my job, and I'm going out to parties. So trust is number one. Trust is absolutely number one. I can't be hounded. No, I'm a man. I live my own life. If I go out and I'm smoking cigars with the guys, I don't need calls. I don't need text. I don't need tracking. I don't need people going through my phone. That is not me. I want a spiritually grounded person. I'm grounded. If you trust me, you trust me. If not going to work.
Yeah. I think that's
So
really good, man. I think that's something a lot of guys struggle with, is setting boundaries. Not with just women, but with themselves. And this goes broader than dating, right? Because boundaries are, you set boundaries with your family, with your friends, with yourself. I mean, having discipline around certain behaviors is setting boundaries with oneself. And so I think that's really important that someone, honors those boundaries. And if not, they make it clear. How did you find that? So it sounds like she acknowledged that in the beginning, but as things went on, she started to ignore that a lot more. How did she start to violate those boundaries, and what kind of changed in that avenue?
From my experience, women, if they get comfortable and they know that you're committed, which is usually a good thing, they take advantage some of the time, depending on the woman. I didn't think that was the woman that would take advantage of those, me giving pretty much my life away to spend it with someone. And that's what I really want. I want to spend and share my life. I don't want it to be taken away, in a sense. I'm going to always be my person. I'm going to do what I want to do. At the end of the day, you got to trust it, you got to have respect, and you got to, understand how certain things are going to roll in the relationship. If they're there like that in the beginning, you can't take that away once you get committed to. So that was like the one thing. And it led into one thing after the other. And then more red flags were just popping in because it was totally comfortable at that point.
So let's take another step back here, because you mentioned you had a healthy rotation going. You do what we advocate guys do, is give yourself options. You want to operate from the abundance mindset, not necessarily fake it until you make it. I hate those types of terms. You actually want to have abundance, because that puts you in a power position. You have a bit of a leverage, and then you can ultimately be the architect of what you want your relationship/dating life to look like moving forward. So we recently mentioned that there was a bunch of red flags that came up. But I'm assuming, to get to that point, there were initially some green flags that set her apart from the rest of the women. So can you comment? Are we still here? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, it shows the internet's timing out on our end. So can you comment on some of those initial green flags that she did present that set her apart from the rest of the quote unquote competition, the relationship? And as you mentioned, it is nice for the women, at least, to have that bit of competition anxiety. They always say they don't want it, but I've seen personally, and Joel, I know you've experienced this even more recently, that when they know that not necessarily there's other women out there, that you don't want to be throwing them in their face or whatnot, but if she knows that, okay, I need to really step up to keep this guy, to make sure that I am his best option. How did that transition occur from, okay, she checks all the boxes, here's all the green flags, to she slowly started skirting into, okay, a red flag popped up, another red flag popped up? I'd love you to walk us through that journey.
Yeah, so pretty much is what, like you were saying, pre-selection is big with women. Like, if you're around other women and other women are attracted to you and you're the man when you walk into that room, other women are going to feel, like that you're the prize. You want to be the guy in charge. For me, I look for like certain things about like being family oriented, being in her feminine state, eventually like talking about family, talking about, like those kind of morals that I look for. And, the cooking, the cleaning, like all that stuff. Not saying you got to be a nun or a housewife in that sense, but you got to be in your feminine state. So if someone is showing me those potentials and then making me a priority in a life, those will be green flags for me. Once that changes up, that's when the red flags start coming and you could kind of see true character. Usually that takes a little time, so that's why I would advise people to take their time when dating. I was always good with the dates, the rotations, the getting girls, getting the numbers, one night stands, all that stuff. That's all fun and dandy. Relationships all work, and it's a work in progress. It
sounds like you had
overnight.
Absolutely. It sounds like you had really good front end game, and then they call it back end game, and that's a lot harder. And it's like it's a whole journey. Like, everyone has to learn that for themselves. And I think you put it proper. It takes time to get to know somebody, right? They say, like, from a psychological standpoint, it takes about 18 months, so a year and a half, before someone actually starts to reveal who they really are. So Jared, like just as an example, like Jared and I, we've known each other close to a year and a half. So there's going to be, we're starting to see different parts of each other. And thankfully, I think we're liking the things we see about each other. So that's why we're staying friends and stuff.
Yeah, for the most part. For the most part.
Yeah. That thing you did yesterday, bro. No, I'm just kidding. But so many guys fall into that trap. They say the first girl that touches their pee-pee, they're like, yes, this is the one. And I've done this too. And they try to, force a relationship too quick. So I think that's a great piece of advice, man. Take time to really vet her, make sure she's the person that she is in the beginning. What's your gauge now moving forward? Like, how long would you say you would wait now until you?
Well, this is like this is the best part about this journey. It really made me focus and really try to find myself. Maybe I wasn't fully whole. Also, I'm not going to put the full blame on someone else. It could have been a lot with me and my, self and my issues and what I want going forward. But it's really, like we were talking a little bit about the sobriety thing, that I've been practicing that, really clear-headed, meditation, working out. And I kind of like developed a little bit more of like steps where I kind of wrote down so I don't forget them. But like number one is like to find your desire, your purpose. And the best way is to be clear-headed. So if I'm meditating and I'm sober, I'm pretty clear-headed right now. I'm pretty focused. All the partying, the drugs, the alcohol out of the system, the random one-night stands out of the system for now. Even connecting with certain girls, like obviously I've dated after the breakup. I had a few connections, most involved alcohol. Maybe it wasn't the girls that I wanted to be with. It was just back in my old ways of picking them up, getting them out. I don't want really to do that right now at this point in my life. I mean, could it happen again? Sure. I'm not like writing anything off, but right now I am looking for genuine connections and girls that are a little bit more grounded, have a good head on their shoulders, and, good self-esteem.
It seems like in terms of trying to, you mentioned that you're now finding yourself as a result of the called off engagement. And I think what a lot of guys try to do, we get a lot of clients that do this, where there's a piece of them missing and they're trying to find that in the other person, and they're projecting that into the other person and back at them. So all the things you mentioned, family values, good morals, ready to settle down. It seems like maybe that's something that you wanted, but maybe you weren't quite ready. So you put that pressure or that on the other person. And Joel and I talk all the time about trying to squeeze a girl into a box that she doesn't necessarily want to fit into. Or we were talking in the pre-show. I have a girl that for a year or so has been doing kind of that same kind of stuff to me. She's making decisions for what our fantasy future in her head looked like, but I've never been consulted with regarding those decisions. So there's a bit of a dissonance or a disconnect there, and that's what usually causes issues.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also feel like for a relationship to work, you got to be whole, she got to be whole, and then it's called a relationship, not trying to make me something that I'm not, make her something that I'm not, with two different individuals trying to share something together. And this is if you want a relationship. Like, I'm fine with having like a rotation back, maybe right now, no, but of higher quality girls, higher quality morals. That'll be fine if it works out that way. But right now, the focus after a breakup, my opinion, take it slow. I wouldn't say like, if I had experience, and I have a lot of experience. So if you had no experience and you just saw a girl and you're starstruck, you got the Disney lights, then I say get back into the game, start approaching, have a foundation. But I already established that. I'm trying to get to the next level of it.
Yes. It's so funny because I think like our whole community right now is in that same mindset. We talk a lot about this a lot. Andy, our good friend, and then Mate as well, a lot of our clients. And it's a different beast when you start to level up and really go for that quality. What I've noticed myself is that I'm having a lot less dates because I'm screening a lot harder, and I'm not just approaching anybody who I see that's kind of cute and might want to sleep with me. It's like, there's a bit of more of a standard. And there's been like almost an ego identity shift because I'm used to being able to date in abundance without much problem. And now it's like, I go on a date and I'm not pulling her home right away. So it's like, there's like now like I got to do the whole dating process, and it's just like a whole different experience. But it's beautiful in a way too, because you feel that it's taught me a lot. And I'm sure it's teaching you guys as well. Like, you don't need women. Like, you don't,
Yeah.
I can go home at
Really?
night and like be okay.
Yeah.
And do you know what's funny?
Yeah, that's amazing that he said that too, because it was just like I was always the guy when I go out in the friend group. I'm getting the girls. I'm starting the party. I'm doing this. I don't want to be that guy right now. I don't want to be that guy anymore. It's a big ego shift because they're like, "What's going on with you?" But I feel like my game is that good that I don't have to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Like it's
Yeah.
Richie K. Like what the fuck?
And do you know what's funny? When you find yourself in that situation, Joel and I had a talk last night to where he mentioned he went to Walmart and then the girl was seeking him, that she approached him, that she invited him on the date.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned I've gotten to that point too. At first you get into game, you get into dating. There's usually something to prove. A lot of times there's a void to fill, but then you get really good to the point where like, okay, I don't really need this. This isn't really filling that void. That's something I have to find in myself and do for myself. And the minute you make that mental upgrade, the tables shift. You don't have to pursue women anymore. They start pursuing you. And Joel, when you mentioned that, I'm like, yes, yeah, that you're there. But it does become hard to turn off that game switch.
Absolutely. It's the attraction factor. Then you become the attractant of the woman that you want when you could weed out. You're not like, not saying chasing, but you're not putting yourself out there more. You're more connected and grounded. They come to you more. So it's a vibe that you're putting out, which it seems to be working in that sense. But right now, my main focus is to be grounded. But like me and Joel were talking the other day, it was like going out to the bars, the nightclubs, would have like, practicing a little sobriety right now. Like Target, going to Target is like
Target.
The girls there they're not dressed up, they're not super sexualized where guys are like going at them. The girl to guy ratio is amazing. You go to Target, you're gonna have a good time. The Target out here has the Starbucks. Yep. That's like the smoking section, the bar. Because I'm always about like moving the girls around in bars and clubs when I used to do that kind of game, because you never want to have them like stay in one spot, get stagnant, their friends come. But in day game or Target game, usually they're alone. Their guard's down a little bit, and they're more open to actually connect more than their guard being up at a club. Most people think girls, their guard is they know they're gonna get flirted with at a club. They know they look good. When you're out in day game, it's kind of even field, and we're just connecting as humans. And then if there is a connection, kind of move them to the Starbucks and have a
you don't have the distraction of the clubs either. And then, like you said, it's a target rich environment. I used to always say, I lived in San Diego for 10 years or so. IKEA in Mission Valley, it's right next to well, there's multiple universities in that city, but same thing, target rich. And it wasn't necessarily even gamey. I'd just be shopping or something. Just it's like, hey, I'm deliberating which silverware set do you think I should go for? Like, hey, I've got bare walls. Like, what kind of artwork up? And then she'll start asking about you. Well, what are you into? And da. So really, it's kind of an Insta date without the guise of it being an Insta date.
Right, and you get to bet a little bit more there than you would at a loud club with alcohol involved. No makeup. Like you could really get a little bit more quality when you're outside in the daytime and you're sober.
Yes, and they're in their shopping mode. Like, so from a psychology basis, like they're in a open state because they're excited. They have dopamine high about spending money. So it's like they have kind of that. Like, I know I'm always happy to talk to people when I'm about to make a big purchase because I'm excited. Versus like when I'm like in the opposite. And Target's this shirt's actually from Target, so fucking great clothes too for like $5. So I was at Walmart last night and I was in that same thing. I was just there to get some stuff. And because I was just like, and I was like nervous when I talked to her because I wasn't like in a prime state. So I said like, what's up? And she's like, so like, what's up? And I'm just like, I was just saying hi. Like, I really didn't care. And then she started to open up more. I was on Jared. I was like, the first girl that's ever asked me out. I was like, that's a huge win. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And I came home super pumped. But I think to your point, guys, like it's about being in that state. It's about being in that open, calm state. Obviously, most people are sober at a grocery store.
Sometimes
you got to be. You'd hope so, yeah. Unless they're on a right before 2 a.m. beer run in the U.S.
Right. I came stoned to Target a lot, to be fair. So, but
I've been there a few times too.
Yeah. So anyway, man, great conversation so far, diving into a lot of stuff. I think these are good lessons that guys can take. Don't ignore the red flags. One of my mentors, she would say, Joel, you took the red flags and you painted them green. So
Yep.
Took her paintbrush out. I'm like, oh, this this isn't too bad, right?
Yeah,
She smokes
overlook
cigarettes.
certain things.
But she's
Yep.
got a pretty body, so I'll paint that one green. What was the moment for you where you said no more?
It was kind of an accumulation of things, and then there was like one blow up. When I didn't want to go home because we were living together, obviously. So I did not want to go home into my home. This is my home, my space. I didn't want to go home because I didn't want that energy with me. Right there, again, I knew it. We had, things to talk about. I gave it a little bit more of a shot just because of, the right thing to do, the commitment stuff. But I knew it was over right there. And then, once that happened and I made my decision, I ran with it. And I really, really am glad I did. I'm very happy about it. Like, I'm seeing things in a whole new light now. I'm in a different place, a different state of mind. And it's just like the next chapter. Like, most people think it's over. Most people think and I wasn't like super, I'm always the one I feel is the one up and being grounded. So I'm not like gonna cry and that's just not my thing. I'm a guy, so that's my thing. But I really, most guys feel like their life's over, but they don't realize it's just another chapter, and you get to write it. That's the best part.
Oh,
yeah,
poetic, man.
Yeah,
fucking poetic.
I'm reading.
Make an Instagram quote on that. Yeah, I had a breakup in Cabos, and Jaron really helped me through it. And it was that same thing, man. It was just like I knew it hurt so bad, but I knew all the opportunity that was going to come from doing it, right? And go ahead, Jaron.
I was gonna say, which was probably a good thing because of that girl. There was a girl that I was hanging out with in Cabos, and then a couple weeks later, she sent me a picture, and it was them two out. I guess the girl, when Joel broke up with her, she went back with the girl who had spent the night with me and just stayed in Cabos. And then 2 weeks later, there were some foreign guys or whatever. And then the girl I was with, she was super cool. Actually, she wrote me a big long thing saying like how I'm a terrible person. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, you and I didn't have any issues. So probably a blessing in disguise, which we were talking about on the pre-show, and maybe we can start moving into that territory. Once we get past the kind of some of the warning signs of red flags. I think that's a great point. When you feel like you're not safe in your own home, like for me, my home is my personal space. So if I feel unnerved in my own personal space, then something needs to change. It needs to change very quickly. So probably a blessing in disguise. It sounds like in your situation, the relationship was also the relationship ending was a blessing in disguise. And I'm actually curious. I think I got the sense from earlier in the conversation that you were the one that called off the engagement, correct?
Yes.
So I think that changes the dynamic a bit, because in most guys' cases, at least when guys come to us, oh my God, I lost the love of my life and she was the one. It's most of the time it's the girl that calls off the relationship. And I think there's stats that go out there that something like 80% of women initiate divorce. So I'd be curious to comment on how does that dynamic change? Because it sounds like you're able to rebound a bit quicker when one, you went into it you being the selector, but you were also the deselector, which I think changes the situation a bit.
Yeah, which is still always you still have to be the selector at all times. That's the thing. Like, I wasn't nervous to shut it off. I wasn't nervous about the future if I'm gonna get someone else, because I have the ability and I know who I am and where I want to go. Was I clouded at the time? Absolutely, but this just made me level up even more. Every time I've been in multiple breakups, and I was always the one that broke off the relationship. So I don't have experience of getting my heart broken in a sense. Yes, it hurts. Obviously, you did love the girl, you cared for her, and you planned the future. But I was always the one that knew I was going to be okay. So
okay. How did she take it?
Oh, it was rough.
Women don't like being rejected. We see a lot of times as guys, we're usually used to getting rejected, even from like the front end type game, especially if you're still in that pursuant mode, that it's usually the guy making the move, trying to move things forward. And I think a lot of women, at least in modern days, they aren't used to being rejected, because I've gotten to that point too. I've been at that point for a while. It's where I'm the selector. And most of the options I have, it's just me deciding not to move forward because, I have better things to do, or we're not compatible, or schedules don't line up for a myriad of reasons. But women do not take rejection kindly. I'd say that guys, we're definitely winning in that.
Yeah, well, they're not used to it. Most guys
exactly
don't do it because they're nervous or they didn't come from a dating background or they think that one-itis type thing where this is it and it's the end of the world. You have yourself. That's number one. That's what you have to realize. And you could keep on building yourself and then attracting what you want in your life. So there's that's what you have to hone in on. It's a lot of people, they think it's this one thing and then it's the end of the world. It's the end of it. No, your life is your life. So it moves on. You'll be okay. You'll level up. You'll get better. You'll either get back into the gym, fix your mindset, all three of the above. I'm trying to being the sober thing, which is working out amazing. We talked about it like before. It's going really well.
Nice.
And finances too. Finances is a huge part.
Yeah. You've done everything correct, man. I think that's just like such a great testament. Like, because some people don't take that path. They let it destroy them and let it just, they gain 3,000 pounds and,
They
start
hit
doing
the
drugs again.
bottle
So
immediately.
they hit super hard. Obviously the best numbing agent on the planet. So that's so awesome, man, that you just went full send and you're like, I'm going to level up my life. And I think, guys, you can do that too, even in little situations. Like if you get rejected in a cold approach or some girl doesn't work, like use that time and like get to work, go to the gym, right? Let that aggression out. Have that be just a habit that if something doesn't go well in your life, you use it as fuel for the fire. And that can really kind of start to propel you forward.
Absolutely. And like getting rejected in a cold approach is like nothing. It's like a pebble in your shoe. I mean,
Exactly.
You had a life planned with someone and then that's not there. You get rejected. It's really not that big of a deal. It's kind of like, a little challenge in a sense, but I would never even count that as an issue ever.
The cold approach rejection, by the time I get home, I've already forgotten about it.
I've been
time you walk down the street.
I've been in situations
and usually I'm just laughing at myself because a lot of guys think when you're new to this stuff, it's like, well, I'm not good enough, or what could I have done better? For me, it's the opposite. I was like, man, that girl sucks. Like, I'm glad that didn't move forward. Like, she made it very clear to me she's not cool.
Yeah, I'm not even into that. Like back in the club days, I would get rejected in a cold approach to one girl in the group and then literally turn over and talk to her friend and get with a friend.
So, hey, what's up?
Like I'm not even talking about bringing it home. I'm talking about like instant, like dirt off the shoulder. Like it's not a blur in the eye. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah. And I think the reason I bring it up is because a lot of our guys who are new to cold approach and stuff really do feel a lot of pain when they get that rejection. And it's like, that's enough to kind of cripple them for possibly, or days or weeks. So, I think taking Richie's mindset, guys, if you're new and watching this, like dust off the back, right? Just go to the next one. When you're walking, like by the time you walked on the street, you forgot about her. And sometimes like I'll feel embarrassed. I even approach her. I'm like, you get rejected by like kind of like a, just damn it.
Yeah,
that's what I feel more guilty about.
They're never hard rejections. It's never like, oh my God, who do you think you are? Thinking that you have a shot. Like guys always play out these worst case scenarios in their heads. Usually it's just like, oh, hey, I'm married, but I'm flattered, or like, oh, hey, I'd love to, but I have a boyfriend, or that'd be great, but I'm from out of town and I'm leaving. I'm literally on the way to the airport. So like, okay, cool. Timing's off. Hope you have a good day later.
Right. What I teach my guys too is like the volume approach. Like we talked about this in the past also. It's like if you went up to like the 10 girls and you got 3 numbers, so you got rejected, 7 times, you're batting 333. It's a baseball approach. 333 as a hitter, you're doing pretty freaking good. You're doing really good. So it's like you don't care about the 7. You got 3 leads, 3 maybe future connections, and
you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, you're in the Hall of Fame. Exactly. It's like you really got to put things into perspective. And like we were talking, me and Joel off camera, sometimes girls, they're having a bad day. They're in a relationship. They don't like short guys, tall guys, bald guys, Asian guys. Okay, but the next one might. So why would you let that one rejection ruin your whole day when you could connect with maybe 20, 30 girls if you really wanted to?
And I've been rejected by girls before, and then later, whether it's weeks later, months later, even years later, you'll get the number. Like maybe it's a dating app, you get the number, and you see, oh, we have a conversational history. Maybe she flaked on me 3 years ago, or there was one, I think it was a Tinder match, and then we were communicating through Instagram, and then she flaked on me for a date, and then months later, I ran into her at a large social event, and she was all about me, and she told me she's like, I was really excited to meet you. She's like, I just thought you were fake. And I was like, no. And then she
Oh,
put a
that's
video,
funny.
did a live stream. Yeah, Joel, you know what girl I'm talking about.
Right.
Yep.
And then there's a video, and then gorgeous girl. It's like, she's like, yeah, I rejected this guy. I thought he was fake. And I'm like, nope, here I am in the flesh. Definitely not fake. She's like, no, he's not fake. And, we had a good time after that. But there's a multitude of reasons why you might be rejected in the moment. And it doesn't really matter. But that doesn't mean that there's something inherently wrong with you. Like you said, Richie, could be a bad day. She could have just gotten out of a bad breakup. Maybe she's busy. I know sometimes too, like if I'm beelining it from point A to point B and someone interrupts me, I'm just like, I'm kind of short with them. It's not that I'm rude. It's not that I'm uninterested. It's like my mental energy is focused on this very specific objective at this point. But later in the night, maybe I would have been more receptive to it.
Yeah. And coming from New York, it's like the norm. Like so many people are just in a rush and in their own zone. So like if you approach someone, they're in a rush, it's like it happens. But most of the time, if you do certain steps that I've done and I've coached, it does work. It kind of slows them down, gets them into the moment and gets them into a little like connection with you. But if not, it's really not that big of a deal. Like you'll be fine,
Yep.
It's more the inner game, the inner work. That's the main thing. You're number one in your head. You're the lotto ticket. Like I tell a lot of the guys, if you have a winning lotto ticket in your hand, how do you go approach the girl? You're going to have approach anxiety? No. You're going to be like, I'm giving you, the winning lotto
I wouldn't
ticket,
tell
right?
her about the lotto ticket. I'd just
I would keep it myself.
I wouldn't tell anyone.
You're just like,
Yeah.
wait.
It's like those memes. There will be signs, but yeah, I wouldn't tell anyone.
Yeah, you would definitely know. But like just to say that they're the ticket, like that's what the mindset I was trying to instill in them.
Oh,
It's
no,
like,
I got you.
Yeah. How you're going to approach without anxiety in a sense.
Yes, and it's definitely an experience game too. Like the more approaches you can get, the more that'll go away. That's something we tell our guys. You got to get hundreds of reps in your belt.
Yep.
You're so right. You just realize like it doesn't matter. Like a rejection is a blessing. Like you are it's another word to say you are the prize. Like if someone chooses you, it's going to be a win for them. 100%. And if not, like sun came out, I just saw that in my window, and then
it's right in my face. Yeah, I think
enlightened thinking.
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna.
And then leveling up, man. I mean, dude, like
up and it's going away.
When I had that Cabos breakup, it was like it was so like I look back now and I just changed everything in my life. I got my diet back on check. I hit the gym harder. I got back on my testosterone. I started dating and approaching higher quality women and saying no to red flags that I would ignore. So everything in my life got better. I made more money. It was just like it was like such a blessing. And part of me still wishes that it would have worked. Like I wish all that could have happened and it would have still worked out. But what is the saying? Rejection is God's protection. So higher power, I think. Go ahead, Jared.
Yeah, I'll say one thing I always tell my guys, and Joel, I think we kind of share the same sentiment here, is that for a couple things. So first, when you're with a girl, I've done this before. A girl I dated years ago. We were together 2 or 3 years, and it was the point where we realized our life visions weren't really aligned. She wanted to stay in a place that I didn't want to live, and she wanted to start having kids and get married immediately. And I was still kind of early in my career, and I wanted to like go to bigger cities and do bigger things and had a bigger vision for myself. And that was a really hard breakup. She was a super cool chick. We were super compatible, loved each other to death, no red flags, no issues, none of that. And those are some of the hardest breakups. But we really just weren't aligned on what the future looked like. And one thing I told myself at the time was that this was a girl that I had attracted years ago. I had continually strived for more and more and more, whereas she was just kind of happy with where things were. So that would have really capped my potential. I would have become complacent. She was fine with that. That's what she wanted. But for me, I had much bigger goals. So when we broke up there, I think I had to remind myself was that, okay, this is a girl that I attracted 3 years ago. I've improved in those last 3 years. And then I got excited. Like, I can't wait to see who I can attract next, which leads to the second point, or it's kind of the same point, is that whenever something is removed from your life, a lot of guys fall back in that scarcity mindset. They see it's a lack. I had this thing and now it's no longer there. Well, yeah, there's a void. There's a space that was opened up, but that space needs to be opened up. You need to have that vacuum so something better and more aligned with what it is you're looking for can fill that. I don't like the word void in this context, but can fill that space. So once something's removed, it's not necessarily a net loss. I see it as a positive. It's like, okay, there's this temporary period where my relationship bucket isn't filled, but as long as I'm focused on self-improvement and I'm moving forward, then I'm just going to if I'm getting better, I'm only going to attract better.
Absolutely. You need room to grow. That's like the thing. And I'm sure you heard about like the analogy. I listened to actually, I think it was like a rabbi on YouTube. He was talking with the lobster. So the lobster, they have to molt and then they're all soft and like squishy until they find the bigger
They're
shell.
vulnerable.
Right.
Yeah.
They're vulnerable. So some guys get into that depression and stuff. But if you just focus and expand, you're going to get that nice big shell that you really wanted. That's a hard protective case. And then maybe one day that'll even be small for you. So you got to just keep expanding and just see and trust the process.
Yeah, and it's never linear.
Yeah.
It's never like I continually expand. It's expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction.
Absolutely.
Or I think of this with like my career, my finances. At my lowest of lows in the last couple of years, that far exceeds my highest highs maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, even 3 years ago. So you have these ups and downs, but I say measure the trend line and then extrapolate that over a longer term, and you're on a good path.
Absolutely.
Great. I love that. We're just all a bunch of crabs, but not the crabs in the bucket. You know the analogy where when you're trying to level up, like if crabs are in a bucket, like one will try to get out and everyone will pull them back in to try to get out too. So these are the good crabs.
When I used to do crawfish boils when I lived in Texas, we had a crawfish boil my last night in the States when I went home for Christmas break. And I think everyone in my family thinks I'm a psychopath, but I lived in Texas for years. So we do a lot of crawfish boils during that season. And there's always that one, like they'd all pull each other down. There's always that one that made it to the top, like a little bigger, a little stronger, like King Alpha crab. And I'd always put him aside. And it was kind of a tradition that like in my friend group, whoever's hosting the crawfish boil, that, you know, you boil all the rest and then you serve everyone. And then that king crab that makes that, or crawfish that makes that out of the top, then I boil him at the very end. And then I have him for me. It's just kind of like, you know, it's kind of respecting the king.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I thought you were gonna say you let him go. I was like, that's a beautiful story.
No, dude.
It's like, no, I cooked that boy.
What? Let him go on a highway in Houston so he can get smashed by a car? No, I want that.
Let him die naturally.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Take him back to the gas station where I bought him so someone else can eat him. Nah.
I'm a big animal lover, so that's a sore spot for me. But
are we doing Fogo tomorrow?
And tonight, yes. I'm gonna be eating tons of beef.
Fogo de Chao?
Yeah, dude. They have like it's like 30, I don't know, like $35 a plate. And obviously it's just like it's amazing.
Yeah. No, I've been to the one in Philly and I've been to the one in New York.
They're good.
Very good.
Yeah. How much is it? It's a little more expensive in the States, so I know for sure.
Yeah, I would assume
it's like twice as much.
forgot, but it's probably like $100 and something bucks.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was like $75.99. I think last time I went in the States, but here it comes out to about $35, and they do have really good steakhouses in Mexico City. I went to one on Sunday, but when you price everything out, it's like I could have had unlimited steak for the same cost as like a single piece of steak, and I mean the quality is, you know, it's in the same ballpark.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We measure our finances in Fogo. Like how much Fogo could we have bought?
Right. That's a good indicator.
It is. It is. Yeah. So back to dating. I see people are dropping off as we're starting to talk about steak. So Richie, it sounds like, you know, you had this breakup, and if anyone's new to the podcast right now, you had the breakup, you've taken it to your advantage, you've leveled up. What are you looking for in the next, like maybe 4 or 5 months, like in terms of just dating, or just really still focusing on yourself and getting
right? I'm taking everything day by day in a sense. I'm not going to turn anything down, obviously. If I go out there and I see someone that I might have a connection with, I would obviously go approach, or if it is attracted to me, that's all fair game. But I'm going to take it slow too. It's not like old mindset, like the setback mindset, going out, clubbing, gathering all them up, bringing them back, and then seeing what sticks. I'm going to be a little bit more deliberate of what I move forward with in my life. And if the connection is a little bit there, like I'm going to look for a little bit higher quality, not just abundance of, numbers. And there's a time and the place for that. And I think everyone should do it at one point, depending on experience level, because you don't want to go into it with zero or limited. But for the stage that I'm at, it's going to be a little bit more quality, different types of places, different types of bars. I mean, not bars, restaurants, no drinking. And
Freudian slip.
yeah, right. And then you know, and trying different activities too, like maybe get into like some yoga classes or different types of gyms, meditations, like different places where higher quality people may conjugate.
Yeah. Oh, dude, yoga classes are.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna go there. Dude, we had a yoga class one time, and my buddy got caught staring, like, because we were in the back row. It was hilarious. She just like direct eye contact, like we were, doing like the downward dog shit.
Yeah.
Like she just, I'm like
what's
it
going
was
on?
so fucking funny. Dude.
When I used to do yoga, yeah, they'd come and lay on your back, and you're like, "Wait, I don't see you doing this with other students." They get real touchy and whatnot.
Nice.
One thing, and Richie, you mentioned like you're kind of over the bars and clubs thing. I've been over that stuff for years, and when I was younger, I didn't even really like it to begin with. I just thought that that's what you do, because a lot of guys, when you go into dating, if you don't have a strategy, you just kind of do what everyone else does. That's not an optimal approach at all. But I used to always tell myself, and now I tell my guys that, for example, this isn't your case, luckily, but let's say, oh, I had a horrible breakup. Like, where'd you meet the girl? Oh, I met her at an after party at 6 a.m. And I used to always say, there's two types of girls you'll meet at 6 a.m. and they're vastly different. If you're walking out of a bar hungover, they're still drunk actually at 6 a.m. That's a different class of girl than I lived on the boardwalk in San Diego for years. I do bike rides at 6 a.m. A lot of amazing girls you can meet on the boardwalk at 6 a.m. They're jogging. They have like volleyball leagues there. And these girls are really athletic and really good. They're up before the sun is, and they're practicing volleyball before they go to work. The boardwalk in San Diego at 6 a.m. is buzzing with amazing, high-quality fit girls, but there's a lot of bars there too. So if the girl's walking home and she's obviously haggard and she's had a rough night, maybe bypass that girl.
Yeah, and go to the volleyball girl.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just like a different shift in, quality mindset in that sense. It's like you said, you could go to the girl that got like her eyelash hanging off and stumbling out of the bar, or the girl
missing
that's
a heel.
stretching to go into the water. You might want to go with that one if you want something a little bit more quality.
Mm-hmm. And we say too, like, you're probably not going to find your dream girl at the bar. Odds are you're not. Yeah, you're gonna find her, at a Whole Foods or like at a yoga thing or at the gym, right? So, what are you looking for specifically in your next level of quality? Like, is your new screening?
Yeah, well, like I said, I want it to be more grounded.
Okay. So she can't be like a woo girl, as Jaron calls them. A wee.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Even though like my ex wasn't like that, and I really kind of got out of that scene a little bit long time ago. But like, yeah, just like meeting someone. I used to like meet girls at the bar, meet bartenders. I used to pick up a lot of bartenders. People in that environment. It's in that drinking environment, maybe a lower vibrational environment. I'm trying to be in more health conscious environments, or somewhere we could connect on an intellectual level too. A bookstore,
Gym, health food store.
Yeah. Barnes and Noble.
I used to always say some of my best girlfriends were when I was younger, when I was in college. And I think it was because I'd meet them on campus, or I'd meet them at the gym or in the library. So they're doing productive things. And I was telling Joel the other day, I think, we're ripe for options down here. But some of my most favorite girls, the ones where I feel like the most deepest intimacy, I fancied myself an academic when I was younger. I was always kind of a nerd. I really still am. A lot of people don't know that, I think, just by looking at me. But when I'm in my room or in the living room, or we have our laptops out together and we're both working together, not necessarily working on the same thing. She's doing a university class and I'm writing a business proposal, or we're just doing day-to-day operational stuff, but we're sharing the same physical space, doing things that better each of us. Or I like playing music every night. So if I'm dating a girl, and I'll ask her at some point, do you have any artistic talents, musical talents? Oh, I've really been into poetry. I've really been into painting. Well, if we're starting to get serious and she says she's into painting, guess what? I'm going to buy her a canvas. I'm going to buy her artistic supplies. And if I'm fiddling around with music and she's doing something visually artistic on the canvas, for me, like you mentioned earlier, sharing that same higher frequency while occupying the same physical space, that's where I personally feel intimacy.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, man. You need that intellectual connection. Mm-hmm. When I meet a girl that's like, I'm health conscious, I love exercise, and I love eating healthy, I'm just like, instant boner. I'm just like,
Oh,
yes.
Joel, you've seen us when I bring him over. We're cooking in the kitchen and we're listening to music. We're having little tickle fights and talking about our days. That's not
Right.
exciting. You don't see that on the Instagram reels. Or those aren't yacht girls or party girls. Or hey, this guy flew me out to Dubai. Those types of girls, and Joel, we were able to attract the more physically attractive girls down here. I get a lot of attention from a lot of those types of girls, and you have to suss them out pretty quickly. I like the girls that, hey, we're going to stay in tonight. We're going to make homemade lasagna, but we're going to do a health food version. We're going to do like the non-fat protein fortified dairies. And we're going to do the 99% lean ground beef. We're going to do the whole wheat noodles. And then she gets excited about it. And then we're spending hours in the kitchen, just singing and dancing and little tickle fights. And I'm slapping her towels and she's doing it back. And we're just, we're in the same frequency. Richie, I'm glad you brought that up because I think on those terms too. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. And that's where I'm going more like that kind of avenues. I'm not saying that I didn't have those. I had them, but it was wrapped around a lot of partying or drinking or where I was finding them, attracting them. And I mean, like New York is like it's a different animal here. You have to be extremely careful of yourself.
You have to be in the scene or a scene or multiple scenes.
Exactly. Yeah. But right now I want to remove myself from everything, get fully focused, grounded, and then pick and choose where I want to go.
New York's distracting too. It's like Mexico City. It's a major metropolis. It is a global cosmopolitan city. So whenever I go to New York, you'll watch other dating coaches and they'll say, oh, New York, Miami, LA, London, these are cities on hard mode. Once you know what you're doing, these are the easiest cities in the world because people are in and out. You're catching them in a transitional space. Now, I think last time I was in New York, I met a girl. She was Turkish, but born and raised in Germany. Super easy. But if I had met her in Germany in her day-to-day life, we might not have fit. She might not have even looked at me, but she was outside of her normal core operating modality. I am too. So we're in this uncharted territory and we can create a shared experience without the stigma or the social norms or the perceived violations of what she should act like or what I should act like. New York is a ripe city for that. Miami, Los Angeles, London, Mexico City, ripe cities for that. So it is hard with all of that distraction because there's the city here. It's pretty quiet at night, but in the morning you can literally feel the city start to come alive around 6:30, 7 a.m. By 8 a.m. The cities have a frequency. They have a buzz to them. And New York is one of those. So I'd be curious to hear how you remove yourself from all that noise, because New York is a very target rich city. It is very easy to have a lot of fun very quickly if you want to. How do you distinguish between, okay, pass her through looking for a quick fling or a good time, or is she potentially in for the long haul?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like I would kind of know, number one. Number two is like there's a difference between Manhattan, which is like city, and then like a suburb, Brooklyn, where I grew up, Staten Island, where I live now. So it's a little bit different in that sense. Like it's so big. New York is tremendous. So it's like there's a lot of different vibes on every way you go. So you just got to put yourself in those areas and then just trust your intuition in that sense.
Yeah, New York's one of those, I say population density is key for guys. So that's why we have guys come down here. You know, obviously there is the foreign factor. Latinas are they're a little more feminine, they're a little more sweet, they're a little more open, they're a little more traditional. And and for guys like, well, you know, how do I find the one? It's like it's population density. Like you have much more options, but it is important to be able to select, okay, is this a good option for me? Not every option's a good option. And I think a lot of guys have to go through that journey as well.
Yeah. Well, it's important to, like I said, to do that. Everyone's at a different step of it. I hone the volume stuff if you're kind of on the beginning end of it, because you have to get experience. You have to know what you like and what you don't like and what you are attracting and not attracting. So you have to have data. You got to collect a lot of data in a sense.
Dude, I said the same thing.
Figure out what you want. But in my sense right now, I kind of know. So it's like, it's an exciting step for me because I know I could do it, but I don't see it yet. I didn't do that kind of stuff yet. So I'm very excited for it, but I know it's going to work because I could just transition. It's more of a transitional thing.
And here's the thing too, Richie, like once, you start dating women that take care of themselves, right? That means she's going to take care of the relationship, right? When a person takes care of themselves at the highest level, and then vice versa, right? Like you're going to be able to offer that care and support, because I think what a lot of people miss is a relationship is a very giving thing. Like a long-term relationship, it's you got to be selfless. A lot of it. There's going to be a lot of things that maybe you don't want to do, but you care about the other person, so you got to do it. I think a lot of guys enter the relationship like, what am I? It's all about me. I'm going to get so much. I'm going to get sex. I'm going to get companionship, right? It's like, dude, those relationships never work, because it just really, it's about giving. Being of service is kind of one of the keys to life.
It's like life in general. The more you give, the more you're going to get.
Yeah. And like just quickly, like too, it's like this happened, a few months ago, and I did set back into my old ways. Like, I'm not saying I didn't. It didn't happen overnight too. So that's another thing.
Right.
Like as soon as after that, I've got with girls. I was at parties. My cousin's a DJ. I was at after parties till like 6 a.m. Had girls behind the DJ stage doing a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, fun in that thing. But the next mornings and the next weeks, there was so much lows to it. So I was trying to figure out, why is the lows happening when I'm doing the things that I used to do that used to give me some joy and fun and experience. Sure. I outgrew that. I don't need that anymore. Yeah. I know what I have to do. It's just at a different stage now, different level.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
The highs I get with my girls now, right before Christmas break, we drove like 2 hours outside of town, little sleepy mountain village, and beautiful waterfalls and good hiking. And we rented 4-wheelers and then got horses, and then we hiked up to a Buddhist temple before the sun rose, and then did some meditating. That was way higher than any of the like DJ nightclub things. Although that was very fun when I was in those days, and I don't find myself missing it too much. Every now and then I partake, because I do like electronic music. I like all music, but I do like the music for music's sake. But it's really hard not to fall back into those ways, because it is enticing.
Yeah, and my cousin was like the beginning like DJ of raves. Like, if you believe it or not, he started like clubhouse raves. Like they used to go under the bridge and set up like pop-up tents, and those
the underground ones are the best ones.
Yeah, wow. So like I won't be in those scenes as much, but like in the summer they still do that outdoors. So those are like things that I'm looking forward to. Like the outdoor ones, the ones that are in the day, doesn't involve too many drinking. And a lot of the people there that I realized in the it's not really EDM. He was more like techno and stuff like that. But those communities, a lot of them are becoming sober, because I guess a lot of drugs in the past. So like, but more on the day part.
Burn out your receptors. I think I've known people personally that have experienced that.
Well, I mean, I'm the same, guys. Like, I love house music, but I can't stay up till 3 to see a headliner anymore. No, it's just not happening. At like 11 o'clock, I'm getting tired. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like,
that's why I like those rooftop parties so much, because they start at 2 and they're done by 10.
Yes, we gotta go one of those again.
I'll sign up right now.
Yep.
Come on now, get a ticket.
Yeah. I got a lot of vacation weeks. I got 6 weeks vacation, so we could sprinkle something.
Oh, come on down. Yeah,
nice. Yeah, man. I think kind of we do got to wrap here. We got a call coming up, but I can kind of sum it up some of the main points, like at least in this last 20 minutes or so. When you start leveling up, and they say your vibe attracts tribe, and you become like the people you surround yourself with and all that. So when you're vibrating at that higher frequency, you do start to just attract those people. And the growth process is painful, but it's beautiful, because you will get to a point where you get to finally have what you really wanted, and you get to feel that fulfillment on that deep level, and where you get to go out and do fun stuff, and you don't have a hangover the next day, because you just get to do more great stuff again.
Yep.
That's the best. Like, man, dude, some of those, even for me, like, you just like hookups now, like if I don't like the person, like I feel like hungover after. I'm like, dude, I could have used all that energy and worked, or gone to the park, or just like hung out with my friends, and now I'm just like, you nut, and you're just, just kind of like, eh. And that's just me personally. So like, I know, Jaron, you get more from the engage, like sex and stuff. So I think it's different for person to person, but like you said, Richie, like you have to go through the journey to find out what that looks like for you. Absolutely. And I didn't know that would be like for me. And I'm sure, it's vice versa. So coming back, like experience, the more you can get out there, the more you can start meeting, having a lot of abundance, and seeing what you like and don't like. That's going to just get you along the journey faster. So I think that's a great maybe topic for another day. But dude, Richie, we want to say thank you, man, for coming on and sharing your experience.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and you're really helping me a lot too with like the sobriety stuff. It's me and Joel talked about it. It's really been enlightening, you know. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. You're on a great path, and it's just we're excited to see your journey too. So, and we thank you for trusting us with, just your experience. And they say experience, strength, and hope, man, in the recovery meetings. That's and this is stronger than any recovery meeting. And that I'm not gonna say this is a strong recovery meeting here, man. And so we're all here to be healthy and happy. And Jaron, why don't you take us home?
All right, sounds good. Well, guys, we want, and girls, because we do have female listeners and audience members as well. So we want to thank you for all stopping on by. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, recommend to friends. That's kind of some of the most powerful ways to get our stuff in front of people and start providing value. If this resonates with anyone you might know outside of yourself. And be sure to share some love. We have links in the description. Follow our socials, all that good stuff. Continue the conversation with us. And then if it sounds like something hit or you'd like to continue the conversation personally, we do offer introductory and complimentary strategy sessions. So be sure to click that link below. Go ahead and schedule that. You'll get Joel and myself on the call, and we'll help you start achieving your wildest relationship goals.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes,
until
sir.
next time.
Peace. Do it, guys. Stay strong.
Yeah, likewise.
All right, brother. Take care.
And